Hi everyone, my name is Memo. This is my channel Houseplanty Goodness, which essentially is a space that I like to geek out about my favourite topic, which is tropical houseplants. You might be able to see a few of them behind me. These are part of my collection. I'm currently in what I've dubbed the hot house, but it is essentially the conservatory to the house, purely because the plants love it here. Humidity is always quite high, it's quite a warm room. It's currently quite cold in the UK, and I'm in a t-shirt because I think the temperature in here is between 28 and 29 degrees. This is the closest I'm going to get to a summer holiday. Also, apologies about me getting blown out by the sun, but again, as I mentioned, living in the UK, the sun goes in and out behind the clouds, and that's what you're seeing at the moment. But if you like these types of videos, if you like this video specifically, do drop a like down below. It really does help me realise that you like this type of content. And if you like this content generally, please do consider subscribing as well, because every week, about two to three times a week, I'll try to bring out a video along similar kind of lines. So talking about some of my plants, some of the tips and tricks that I've had when it comes to growing them, what I do in my care, and maybe a bit of scientific info as well, thrown in for good measure, and I can get my geek on and hopefully help some people learn something new. So yeah, today I wanted to talk about a specific Hoya. So let me grab it off the shelf. This is the Hoya Sunrise. And I'm sure that if I'm not mistaken, when I was doing my research on this plant, it's actually a hybrid of two different Hoyas. If I can find that bit of research, I will drop the two scientific names down below, but you might be able to see why it's called a Sunrise Hoya. So if you see these two leaves, and hopefully that is coming in quite nicely, you might be able to see that there is a bit of a blush that's happening. Oh, I did the YouTuber hand thing. Look at that. And hopefully it's focusing. So yeah, you can see the redness in the leaves there is because essentially the leaves of this Hoya do get sun stress, like you might get sometimes on some succulents. So you can see some succulents when they'll have reddish tips. That is because they're getting sun stress, and it's a reaction, a natural reaction of the plant. It's sending chemicals to the leaves. I can't remember exactly what the chemicals are. It might be anthocyanins, if I'm not mistaken. I'll see if I can put the name down below. And essentially, it's like the plant is generating its own sunblock in order to protect its cells from the bright light. It doesn't always necessarily stress out the plant. It is sun stress, as the name would say, but it won't necessarily kill the plant. If you see the whole plant changing colour entirely and you can then see it declining, then maybe move it away a bit from the sun. But the Hoya Sunrise generally does like as much light as you can give it, because essentially you want to encourage some of that sun stress that you can see there. So you can see the redness that's coming in from some of the leaves. You might be able to see a bit clearer. So very, very cool plant. It is a Hoya. It is quite succulent leaves. I have got it in terracotta, and I know there's a huge debate about this. Some people don't like having them in terracottas, but I've always found that it works really well for most of my Hoyas, so that's generally what I will have most of them in, with the exception of a couple, the linearis. I'm pointing at it because it's right in front of me, and the Polinera, the fishtail Hoya. They like to be slightly more moist than the average Hoya, which really likes a light, chunky, airy soil mix as well, just to give aeration to the roots. This is a Hoya that, even though it's quite succulent, I found that it doesn't like drying fully for days on end before you water it, as most Hoyas generally won't. But this one is a bit less tolerant of it, and it will start to drop buds essentially. And as with most Hoyas, so you know when you kind of look at your Hoyas and you just go, is that a mealybug stuck somewhere in the crevice? I think no, that might have just got the leaf got a bit bashed, and they get this milky sap that comes out. Do not get that on your hands or on your skin anywhere, and if you do wash it off. I think it's a bit of an irritant essentially, to just bear that in mind. Definitely not one for pets or small children, especially if things are going to go into the pet's or the small child's mouth. Not necessarily, I think this is toxic, so just bear that in mind. But overall, really, really cool plant. I got it as a 2 or 3 leaf cutting, and it's doing quite well. It does grow slowly, like most Hoyas, not all Hoyas, but as most Hoyas do grow quite slowly, this one is like one of those. And yeah, it doesn't need an awful lot of humidity. Yes, I've got it in my conservatory. Yes, the humidity is quite high in here, but before this, it was in a different location in the previous property, and it didn't get any extra humidity, and it was fine. It didn't really cause any real issues. overall, really, really easy Hoya to care for. One that, as I said, does grow quite slowly. At least it has done in my care. So I don't know if that's slightly different in your care. If it is, do drop a comment down below. I would love to have that conversation and see what you're doing in your situation. But yeah, so this gets watered, I think, in my conditions about once a week. And it's only because I've trial and error and I figured out about 7 to 8 days is roughly what it needs. I might actually make it a bit shorter of a period between waterings because I see that this plant does actually want it a bit more, and I think it's getting fertilized every second or third watering if I'm not mistaken at the moment. Generally speaking, bright light as much as I possibly can give it, almost as much as I would give my succulents, and yeah, and just let it sit there and change colour for you and go this nice reddish tinged the sunrise that the name might suggest. So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say about the Hoya sunrise. Any questions, comments, drop them down below. Let's have that conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm hopeful that I will see you here soon. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks. Bye.